like to see based on that land. Thank you.
Steady progress is the key to obtaining lasting international peace and security. After finally emerging from decades of attacks by the Khmer Rouge, political fragmentation, sanctions, and botched recovery plans, that is what the Cambodian people have learned. True peace arises only from impartiality, careful planning, and reconciliation. Instead of this, it is unfortunate that we too often see in the UN a body of highly developed nations demanding complete and immediate change from nations that don't have the means or the incentives to comply. So instead they refuse. The problems are not fixed, and UN punishments often make these nations less cooperative. Issues like human rights, disarmament, the environment, and political transparency and legitimacy are merely a few of the areas where such an all-or-nothing attitude on the part of the United Nations will only exacerbate existing problems in countries deemed violators. The UN should instead seek to assist nations in recovery and engage them in mutually beneficial solutions. For certainly the cooperation of governments... Thank you. Certainly the cooperation of governments will only yield better and more permanent resolutions to the world's problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Cambodia. Cameron, please make your way towards the podium. Make your own.
I propose that we amend to strike lines 33 and 34, which will eliminate Article 7, for the purpose of the fact that special grants will be given to encourage landmine producing countries to go ahead and do those things. The main producers of landmines are countries like Russia, are countries like the U.S., countries that, comparatively at least, probably would not be the best place to focus aid and these matters.
The Honourable Delegate must agree that mine production is not a very profitable trade. It is designed solely for military use, and that encouraging people not to make mines is very, well, pointless in that sense, because people don't make mines for money, they make it as a weapon. And in saying that, that's what I should be doing. The Honourable Delegate must agree that the closed heaven should be struck because mine production is not a profitable trade, and so that they don't need compensation for stopping a non-profitable, not as profitable trade as a drugs.
If I believe you said what I think you said, yes, I would agree that the striking is called 7 because mines are not trading profitable. Okay,
thank you. On the last quite a while ago in favour of this. All those wishing to vote against the amendment,
that in means of getting rid of landmines and stopping their production. However, I think that it is a bit weak in certain areas. The main areas I'm speaking of is the area of removal of landmines, which for the country of Cambodia is certainly the largest issue. As it says, it costs quite a lot of money to do this. And while we cannot talk about funding, I think that there should be programs set up, such as the one set up by the UNDP in Cambodia, which should be mentioned, that help to train nationals to remove landmines. I think that obviously while the production needs to be stopped, we have to look at the end of it that's already in the ground, as the Honourable Delegate from Bulgaria mentioned. These are the hazards that exist now, and we must work to get rid of those also. So I would expect that we have to do that change.
Where it says years after the vote. Well, that would now be years after the vote, if their presence is no longer required, comma, and then that time.
paper. It's a very interesting paper, full of gossip and fashion and very little news. My articles are all news because I'm a good reporter, and even if they don't get in, they were good. Very critical of this conference, but I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
Prove it.
Prove it. What, debating topics like child labor?
Good topic?
Yeah.
Tell me about the topic.
We're basically trying to find ways that are economically safe to get rid of child labor over a long period of time. And they are, in here they're legalizing child prostitution and offering incentives for adults who do send their kids to school. And they are making school more flexible, the hours of school for the kids.
Doing anything different than the statute of the ICC is doing. The only thing that it actually does is in Clause 8 it calls upon states not to use the opt-out clause for war crimes under Article 124. Now, I think that's the only thing that this resolution is actually doing. It applauds the statute as it stands, when the statute as it stands has many flaws that this resolution does not address. And I'll go through some of them. The first point is that there are disagreements between the definition and application of genocide in the statute and in the Geneva Convention on Genocide. The second is that in Clause 67 of the statute, it states that there can be unwarranted search and seizure. In Clause 69 of the statute, the accused is never informed of his or her rights on arrest. In Clause 72, it states that a government does not have to provide to the court, and unless it's okay. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. Okay. If the evidence provided that the court, the ICC wishes to be provided, compromises with a nation's national security, they do not have to give them. And
This is an excellent resolution. There's only one slight gap in it, and that's the problem of drug exploitation in this region.
Cambodia. Clause 13, that there is no stipulations as to whether these disarmament research teams have to have government consent to be sent into a nation, and furthermore, does this not violate a country's sovereignty?
I think the delegate will actually find that the inspection teams, as stated in previous resolutions, come under the same laws as the transportation teams of nuclear material, and therefore come under the clause 20 about transporting nuclear material into other countries.
They are not disposable and should never be ignored. It is state the opinion and intention of the resolution while setting the stage for governing clauses. If I could draw your attention to lines 2 and 3 of the resolution, declaring that aid is not a mediated conflict and that it is by no means an alternative to steady, sustainable economic growth and development. This statement is ridiculously false and misleading. For developing nations such as Cambodia, there can be little sustainable economic growth without economic aid. In addition, it means to suggest that aid is never useful, while the entire resolution is hinged on developing nations, NGOs, and UN agents providing economic aid to developing nations. As important as this contradiction is, it may not seem worth our time to fail a resolution on a pre-ambulatory clause, but there are several clauses to further prove the contradictory nature of this resolution. Operative 12. Cambodia's notice operative is an excellent idea in that it prevents the problem of the debt amount increasing because of the difference in currency and the depreciation of the nation's currency. This would allow the nation's currency to reach the global economy and even gain value. However, Operative 13 destroys this by stating that repayment must be carried out in US dollars or euros if the nation's currency is slowly depreciating. There are very few developing nations,
especially in Asia, whose currency is not promoted.
Delegate, please come to our closing remarks.
So there are very few nations that these processes would actually help. We have several other processes impossible, and as I open myself to point to nations without the reality teaching.
Outdoors, delegates, please make your way out of the General Assembly quickly and quietly.
Megan,
Yeah,
how's it going?
pretty good.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling great
Why is that?
because we're going out to dinner tonight as a delegation, and I get to get out of here pretty soon. Isn't this great for publicity? Let's put it on the video. The first thing.
As we do. They don't see the refugee crisis. They don't see innocent people out in fields where it's raining, starving. They see KLA marked terrorists running around shooting at Serb troops. So they don't actually know precisely what's going on. Therefore, I propose that as a long-term solution, the only thing that can be done is that a media war should be waged against Milosevic and his regime. Now, this is a problem. They cannot just be wiped away in 2 seconds, as Blair and Clinton thought they could do. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked. You can't stand up and just get rid of this for 2 seconds. I think that this is going to take a couple of generations to solve permanently if it's done properly and effectively. Just trying to somehow re-educate the people of Yugoslavia, trying to make them realise that Milosevic, their president, is a war criminal. It's going to take a long time, a very long time, but it has to be done. I've seen recent press reports, I've seen photographs of Serbs protesting against NATO around the world. I've seen photos of 10-year-old kids throwing bricks and bottles at American embassies around the world. And what can I say? That just shows me that this hatred and this tension is going to last for another generation. It's just been moved on. So, like I've said, the way to get rid of this properly is just to wage a media war, to inform people, to educate them, to let them know what's happening. Recently, 500 German mothers demanded, 500 German mothers, the mothers of NATO troops stationed in Macedonia, German soldiers, demanded to be put in touch with 500 Serb mothers to communicate, to say, no, we don't want this to happen, this is awful. And I think that's the way to go forward. I don't think the bombing is working. I don't think a land invasion would just be absolutely abysmal on both sides. The fact that it remains is that you cannot stop violence with violence. You look at case studies of any other place in the world where a similar tactic has been used. Iraq, unsuccessful. Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Somalia. It's failed in the past, and NATO is up on its high horse again, trying to play God and rule the world. But unfortunately, you see Clinton and Blair. Okay, it's easy for me to stand here and point the finger and say, yeah, you made a mistake. It's easy to see mistakes when other people make them. But I think that Clinton and Blair are not in a position to make mistakes. It says it in their contract. They're not allowed to make mistakes because they have their fingers on a nuclear button and they could do away with all of us in a very short space of time if we let them. And I've lost faith, unfortunately, in Mr. Clinton and Mr. Blair because I did respect them very, very much until recently, just because of this. And I guess that they're going to have to consider things a bit more carefully in the future and kind of consider what they're letting themselves into. I'd like to hand you back over to the Secretary General now.
These powers quietly on the body of NATO does not give them the right.
Could you please come to your concluding remarks?
Creating basis for those.
Section 1. Okay. By a vote of 80 in favor, 12 against, and 13 abstentions, this resolution has passed.
Can you close all doors,
I
please?
don't like it. Why not?
Judy, close the doors, please.
I didn't like the lobbying
Close all doors, please.
because
focus basically on all four topics.
Good delegates.
And everybody else had only one.
Delegates, please make your way to your seats.
Okay, I don't want any fun.
Oh, for God's sake!
All right, looking at me. Don't look at him. Look at me.
Could someone get Kelly? If you're ordering one, I have one, Kelly. Yeah. Can you order a Captain University, please? Okay, pardon me, that's two. Pardon me, three. Three.
Is everybody up here? No, you should have told me.
Rather well. My comments on the conference are mixed. On the one hand, we were very disappointed with the format and the spirit of some of the delegates from the opposing schools. But on the other hand, I was very, very enthused to see our students in action, to see them deal with the frustrations that they had in front of them. The idea that they were appalled at how some countries were represented and disrespected really speaks a lot about themselves and their backgrounds, and it was amazing. I will say this, though. I will say this. Despite the fact that they are extremely frustrated with how they performed and how the conference unfolded, I think they will look back on this and appreciate what it means to understand differences, which I don't think many of the other schools really got.
And now, for an opposing point of view, Arthur and his knights were taken completely by surprise, much like we were. I'm waiting for the horse to decapitate me, but apparently it's not coming. Our students had a crusade on their hands to overcome insurmountable odds. And they did so rather well. As I reflect on this, it makes me think of an old story that I will be more than happy to share with you. However, its inspiration does not quite come to me, given our locale at this particular comfort stop. So therefore, tune in later on, where I will divulge. Thank you.
What do you want me to say? Are you recording? About the conference? Well, it was a little bit of a disappointment. Then you can't put this on a video. Turn it off for a second. Go now? Okay. I come to Dublin to look for a prom date, and I was hoping there'd be some nice, intelligent guys at this conference. But I was wrong. The only way you could catch those guys' attention is if your skirt was up your butt and your shirt was down to your belly button. They weren't as smart as I thought they'd be either. They couldn't stick to policy. They were either wearing devil horns or running around with paper with obscene messages of sexual innuendo. So I'm back to square one, and I'm going home without a prom date. David! Oh, you're cruel. Want me to start?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. I think the most challenging... turn it off for a second. I think one of the most challenging aspects of the Ireland conference was adjusting to the different format of the conference. The rules were completely different, and we found out soon after we got there that it was nothing like we've ever done in the United States. It got even harder because it changed every day depending on the forum of our debate. But I think we adjusted quickly, we learned the tricks of, the tricks to success, and in the end I think we fared rather well.
Dondero's team was only one of 2 schools in the entire United States that were able to compete at Saman, which is affiliated, the conference affiliated with the Hague Conference. The Hague Conference is one of the largest conferences in the world. Dondero's team earned the invitation to go to Saman after our award in New York last year, and basically we ended up competing against over 700 students from 19 countries, from 45 schools from around the world, from as far away as Japan, to Austria, to Australia, to Morocco, and many of them in continental Europe. It was quite a thrill just to see our American students up against most of the world, essentially, and some of the very fine schools from around Europe. Many of the schools were international baccalaureate programs, schools that don't earn a high school diploma per se, but actually the IB degree, which is one of the more prestigious degrees in some of the more private and elite schools. How did we do? We held our own against probably some of the finest students that Europe has to offer. And for that, we're very proud. There it is.
Tell me a little bit about Cambodia's human rights policies.
Well, my name is Emily Gandolfi, and I am the Cambodia Human Rights Delegate for the Simon Conference in Ireland. Cambodia's newest government is run by Hun Sen, and in my research for the Human Rights Committee, I found a packet detailing, basically directly from Hun Sen's mouth, the human rights policy of Cambodia. And it can basically be summed up in one word, and that is neutrality. When I went into this conference, I went in thinking, all right, I want to get something done here, which is what Cambodia would want. But also, being Cambodia, I want to make sure that national sovereignty is never an issue in any resolution, passed, amended, or failed. I wanted to make sure that all amendments passed would do something, all resolutions passed would do something, and that anything given to the floor of the GA would be acceptable for the GA, and hopefully that they would pass it in order to correct the situation of human rights all over the world.
Dinner conversation. Hello! Yes, that's right. We were just talking about woolly mammoth semen. It's not just for breakfast anymore.
Thank you.
I gave Bobby a certain undergarment of mine. That is the most popular phrase on film. Don't film me.
You must command the debate. One must command the debate. You must always command the debate. Be sure to command the debate. When debating, always command the debate.